This is a shortened down version of how my arse cheek exploded. So about 2.5 months ago, I had to go in for emergency surgery due to a perianal abscess burst. Since that time, I've had thousands of people message me and send me support, and I really appreciate every single one of you. But there's a lot of you out there who don't fully know the story. So here's a recap. So back in December of last year, I started running. I quit smoking and tried to turn my life around. During that time, I started doing runs, and on one run, I felt something off with my backside. After that, I started getting pains and blood and discharge and all sorts of stuff coming from my back end over the next 3-4 months. During that time, I went to the doctors, I went to SAU, I went to A&E. I had the paramedics called out, and I had 22 visits with a professional, and no one diagnosed me. On the Friday, I went to my girlfriend's house, and I lay in bed, and after that couldn't move. I stayed in bed then for the duration until I was in so much pain. I couldn't wee, I couldn't poo, I couldn't bend over. I called 111 like 4 times in a day. They said they'd set me up with an appointment to see a doctor the following day. The same old story. 22 appointments later, and I'm being told they're going to set me up with another doctor's appointment. They say I just need painkillers, it's probably a fistula. It's not. About 1 in, my girlfriend had had enough of me crying in pain. I was constantly jolting, so I was lying, and I was lying on my side, and I was just going like that. And because I was in so much agony, she called the paramedics out. 3.5 hours later, the paramedics arrived. They didn't look at me. They literally just stood at the other side of the room. They did that blood pressure thing, heart rate, blood pressure, and then said to me, if I was you, I'd drive home. My house is an 1.5-hour drive away, and then try and see my GP. Because they came out, it cancelled my appointment the next day with that doctor, which was at 6 a.m. out of hours. And then at 1 p.m. that day, my abscess burst. I went to try and go for a stand-up poo in the bathroom in the walk-in shower because I couldn't bend at all. So it took me about 5 minutes to walk to the bathroom, tried to get there, and before I even got to the shower, all of this brown, really smelly, potent, infected liquid just came flying out of my bum cheek and of my arsehole. I then went in the shower and tried to clean it off as much as possible, but as I looked down, it was just oozing with blood and brown infectious liquid. I got out the shower, phoned my dad, who was already en route to come and pick me up because I said enough was enough and I needed to go to A&E and I couldn't get there myself, so he was driving an 1.5 hours up to come and get me. I phoned him and I said, Dad, I'm scared, something's happened, I don't know what's going on, but I think it's really bad. And yeah, my dad then come and got me with my granddad. I lay in the back of the car. We drove to the hospital and I went to A&E. I stood in A&E for about 2 hours. I then got seen. They lay me down, and after straight away they said it was a perianal abscess. That perianal abscess had been brewing for God knows how long. The infection caused, it could have been septic, because I couldn't wee and I couldn't poo, but it could also have just been from the pressure of the area. I don't know. I'd never been in hospital before, and I didn't know what was going on. I said to them, does that mean I can just go home now? Little did I know that it required emergency surgery. So I then had to go, I got wheeled into a room and I underwent my first ever surgery in my life. On my own, alone and scared. During the whole stay I spent 3 days in hospital, and then they discharged me quite early. I still had a raging infection. I was going to the doctors every 2 days, every other day, to get my dressing changed and repacked. And it was by far the most painful and excruciating thing I've ever been through in my entire life. The ribbon has to be pushed inside of your body in this flesh that has just been cut open during surgery, and they have to pull it out of you and push it back, new stuff back in, and it was by far the most excruciating pain I've ever felt. After surgery, I spent
16 days basically stuck in bed because the infection was so bad and the pain was so bad and I couldn't move. So for every other day I had to try and get to the doctors. So I had a taxi pick me up. Just walking down the stairs, I felt like I was going to pass out. Since then, I have had my recovery has been okay. I've had quite a lot of overgranulation, but the wound is getting smaller. Complications since the surgery, I have now developed 2 cysts on one on each of my testicles. I had a raging infection in the backside, which then spread to the front. I had an infection in my penis. I have 2 cysts develop in my testicles, and I had thrush. It was extremely painful to wee, and still to this day, them cysts have not gone away. Over the last 8 months, I have been through a bit, and I've not really took a minute to commend myself from what I've been through. Obviously, I've seen amazing messages and people saying how brave I am and stuff. I've never actually accepted it. But yeah, I have. I've been through some stuff, and I'm coming out the other end of it soon, hopefully. And once I get my MRI results, we'll see. I have also had a sigmoidoscopy. I have had multiple blood tests since to keep an eye on for infection. I have had an MRI, and I am awaiting results for those to see if there is an underlying condition that has caused the abscess. If it turns out there is an underlying condition, this may not be a one-time thing. It could be a reoccurring occurrence. This could happen for a long period of time, over and over and over again. But I'm in high spirits, and everything at the minute is pointing towards it not being one of those, so fingers crossed.